Oh, hi there. Live poker in the US sure is easy. Around. My name's Henry, and I have been playing poker online for 4 years professionally in the low/mid stakes online, which is basically up to 500 now. And I am going to be making a semi-transition to live poker. So sit back, relax, and enjoy going over hand histories with me whilst I ask the question, how much money can an online player make transitioning to live poker? So yes, just to start you off on this journey, I'm just going to clarify this will not be a vlog series, at least not yet, or as of now. And in the future, I might have other people on to hand review. This series will be done where I have manually wrote real hand histories that happened to me in the casino, and we're going to go and play them on the replay, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts and feelings. I'm just going to talk about the hands. Yeah, I'm just going to talk about the hands. So I rock up at this place, the Hollywood Casino. This is in a place called Grantville, PA. Here it is on the map. My impression of it is a decent casino, but wasn't very busy when I got there. However, I sit down and the guy on my right is. I quickly learned the guy on my right is playing 100% of hands. I'm not even exaggerating. This guy maybe folded once in an hour, and that might have just been because he wanted to go get a drink from the bar. Uh, Crazy introduction. It's 1-3. It's the biggest stake this game is running there. And also, I just, I just landed. I hadn't played live for a while. I wanted to sort of get back into it. So 1-3, new casino seems a pretty chill way of like getting back into it. And yeah, we sit down. We've been playing 4 or 5 hands. This guy's played every hand. He raises it up to 45. Obviously, the straddle. By the way, there's a straddle on. That's why it's like says 6. So like you kind of just assume that like there's a straddle and these are the blinds. They're not that super relevant. You'll see through the hand histories. But yeah, we basically click it. We have 0 fold equity anyway. But I don't want to shove and make him fold. I want to like go and play post. But at the time, I didn't like. I kind of knew he was sort of active, but I didn't realize he was as big a whale as he was. Um, yeah, he just calls, and we get king 5-4, and he donk shoves into me. And this is this is the first hand I played. 4 or 5 hands. I didn't 100% know. I knew he had played every hand so far, but I hadn't seen a single showdown. So yeah, I mean, I got the feeling he was quite active, and this line is obviously like very fishy. But because I had just sat down to the casino, I was a little bit like not completely in the mode right now. I decided to just fold very quickly, which is a mistake, obviously, because yeah, I mean, in a situation like this, you face this kind of donk jam. It's usually some kind of draw, but there's sometimes you get like a fish, just like jams king 3 offsuit in there and something, and you're kind of drawing thin. You need 40% to call. As you can see, if you're against a king, you're in trouble, and if you're against a flush draw, you're ahead. You're obviously more likely to be against like a punt, like something random, like it could be like 5-4, or just something random like 4x of hearts, flush draw. These kind of hands. So we should definitely have been calling here, but we didn't know. We folded. He flicked over the 9-3 of hearts. So yeah, we know we're on a good table. That's a good start. Not the best result, but a good start. That's what you want to see. You sit down on a random table, and in your Jesus, sitting with over $600, or like in this case, it will be 200 big blinds for the game. Is like a guy who's free betting, calling 4 bets with 9-3 suited out of position, and donk shoving the flop with any draw. That's what you want to see. We're into hand number 2. Now, at this point, the whale has unfortunately been stacked. I didn't really get to play many hands against him. I got one hand where I bluffed him, but it wasn't a big pot. It wasn't really that interesting. It wasn't a river bluff or anything sexy. He just folded. Gave me too much credit. So yeah, he got stacked. Now we've got to remember this is going to be a 4 ring game, so it's going to be 8 on 9 max. But with the hand histories, we're just going to have 6 players. So the positions aren't 100% accurate, but I am where I am basically. So I was on the button in this hand. So we got a call from early position, and then we got a raise from this player who I think I think he was like plus 2 or something, and I think he was like hijack and I was button. Yeah, he raises 5 big blinds raised. Obviously, a hand like this, you could go either way. You could actually overcall this hand to play multi-way with fish. However, I think we're just going to do better with a hand like Jacks, in this sort of game because unfortunately you're playing against players who are really, really bad and they just cold call hands that they like. Basically, we're playing against fish. So if I cold call this, I'm just going to let the fish in the. Most of the players are just like recreational players. So they're just going to overcall. Like this guy was going to look down at something like Jack 4 suited in the big blind and be like, this seems like a good hand to overcall. That's what these players do. Which, well, Jack 4 suited would be like pretty good hand to be against, but sort of in general, you're just going to go multi-way a lot by overcalling here. So from a technical perspective, 5 big blind raise, um, you know, you could call, but the more aggressive approach is just going to be better. This range isn't just going to be like premium. It's going to be like 15, at least 15% hands, probably. Like pocket pairs and like Broadway hands. Quite often, some of these suited connectors. Sometimes players go really wide. Obviously, there's suited aces, and so yeah, depends on the recreational. So we're going to go up. We're going to bump it up to 3x the raise size. I don't know why I picked 3x. Just kind of feels right, but like realistically, this is a pretty big free bet. It's 15 big blinds. Um, so yeah, we are deep. So it is a good sizing for deep actually. Each size, I'm gonna take a flop. Sure, why not? Jack 9-3. The nuts are in. He checks and we bet 50. So yeah, this is the one thing about. So the biggest content creator out there for online live poker in USD stakes is Hungry Horse Poker. He talks about like his strategy is to just sort of range bet. That's also that's not my strategy. I want to know. However, I'm not going to be checking here because I don't want to protect my checking range against this kind of player because they're a recreational player and you just want to build a pot. I could bet larger as an exploit potentially. Um, but when you go this size, they're still going to continue with like their underpairs and you know ace queen suited, just these sort of hands, draws king queen, all of these hands, if they have like 10-9, 9-8, these sort of hands, these players call things like ace 3 suited as well. So they're obviously going to continue with a lot of these kind of hands. We're not going to get much value from like, you know, 6-5 suited or like just something that missed like ace 5. Although then again, sometimes these recreationals do call these like backdoor hands. But anyway, he calls. We get the 9. No lead from opponent. I think like in theory 9x is obviously super discounted because like they wouldn't want to have too many 9s here in theory, but these are recreational players. They have way more 9s than they ever should. A spot where we just want to kind of play for stacks. I figured I just sized down here because this size is quite like decent because realistically, even if you have an overpay, you want to get value from Jack X. And if you have jacks, you think, oh, okay, do I block jack X? But sometimes they might have hands like queens, but it's most likely he has either a random 9 or just like 10s, 8s, something like that. But then there's also going to be like random like king queen diamonds, ace queen diamonds. Some people could argue you could size up here for a more manageable SPR and get your value against the draws. I don't mind this size because it kind of looks like you have like like kings, right? Um, and you can actually induce like random hands like King Queen of Diamonds to just bluff shove here, but he just calls. So I'm thinking he most likely has, obviously super nice river. He most likely just has like either the last jack or a hand like 10s or 8s, or he just missed with like Ace Queen of Diamonds. Um, and maybe sometimes he has a pocket 9s, or like, so specifically pocket 9s, maybe not, but like a 9. But I do think he raises down a lot with a 9, so yeah. Anyway, we're just going to go all in. You can see the SPR isn't great, but like we're gonna go all in. We're not gonna target anything specifically. We're just gonna jam. Yeah, the only thing is that I say is just when you have the nuts, just go for value. Like it's hard to like really define their range. Like their range is probably mostly like a jack or like pocket eights or tens, right? This is mostly their range. As people really would rather, like, oh, I just want to get called by these hands. Or if you just go all in, they might just call you anyway. Like if you just look at what you look like, a kid like me, I'd probably get called. We shove. He actually tanks for a good minute before calling, and I shown he mucks, and then he said he had a 9, and I was like, "What? You tanked with a 9?" I'm not saying I would have shoved aces for value there. I mean, I probably would have, but like, that's crazy to me. Like, he must have been lying. I don't know what that is. But anyway, that was what we got. We called it somebody. We just bet 3 streets. The only thing I would say with this hand is I was a little bit like out of sync, out of rhythm with like how I handled the chips, how I made decisions, how I looked. So I think maybe he just sort of like think, oh my god, this guy looks so much so like confident. I don't know. I just seemed like I just wasn't like super confident on the table because I just gone from like my basement to a table for the first time in months. But yeah, that was a very good start. So we ended up playing in Grantville. For 3 hours, we won $660. This hand is where most of the profit came from. We bluffed a few other hands. Um, yeah, and then, but we decided we didn't like the poker in too much. There doesn't seem to be any bigger games. It was Saturday night. Maybe 2-5 was going to start. I had an early night. Next day, we went back to the old stomping ground, the Wind Creek in Bethlehem, one of the bigger casinos. This is an interesting place. It has 2-5 running always, which is why I go there. Now the best casinos are around Philadelphia, but this one is like the best in sort of like this area, which is my local area, basically. Well, my local area is around. Anyway, we really like the poker room here. We played here a lot in the past. I know some of the dealers, maybe not personally, but they know me. Other players know me. We know the room. We know where we're going. We sit down at 2-5. And this is not the first hand I play, but it's the first notable hand I play. We have roughly around this much in our stack. And yeah, it goes limp. Limp. This is what happens. Now, you probably want to, I just like to say, you want to start getting folds. It depends on what players are like. And I hadn't too soon sat down, so I go for like a standard ISO of 7. Usually I go like 5 on the butt, like in position. 5x, but I think in these games you just kind of have to go bigger and bigger and bigger until you realize when people start folding. And yeah, we get overcalled. Apparently 7 big blinds isn't enough. So here's a mental note, we have to start going bigger. Something I should adapt, and everyone else decides to come along. Yeah, so the biggest takeaway we can say is everyone on the table is a recreational player. Yeah, this is also just how they play. Like at 2-5 live, they just overcall because they want to play hands versus fish. They'll play like any hand they like. They won't free bet the hand. They won't be like, this guy seems pretty wide. Let's me free bet bluff. They'll just be like, I've got ace jack offsuit. You know what? I wanna take a flop in case I flop something. Like, you know, this is just what it is. Anyway, we flop a set, bottom set, check, check, check. It's to us. It's a set. Obviously their ranges can have better hands. Even things like possibly, I wouldn't even discount things like 8-5 suited. But like, there's just so many hands that they can have. Like, so many like 6-5s, 7-6, 9-8s, 8-7s, 10-9s. These sort of hands around the middle, pocket eights. You know, jack eights, jack tens, just ace nines, ace sevens. We just want to bet. Like, I go pretty chunky size. Now, this size, I say chunky is about half pot. Now, I could go quite small here, but like, we're not really trying to make a hand like pocket twos continue. We're just kind of going to get value from like the sort of hands that are going to generally call. Sort of when you go to this bet size, realistically, a hand that would be indifferent would be something, in my opinion, would be something like King 7 of hearts kind of hand, when I bet in position to three people this size, you should really just fold a hand like King 7 of Hearts, even just like A7 of Hearts should probably even consider folding. Obviously, you're not going to know my betting range in this spot, but yeah. We had two folds, and then player 2, guy on my right, check raises me to 200. So I have a decision here between shove. In my opinion, I would just either go all in or I would call. I didn't quite know what to make of it, so I thought the best play here was to just call and see what the turn brings. So if the turn comes four-liner, we get to like see what he does, and we'll have a really good idea about his range based on his size. If it doesn't come four-liner, then the money's just all going in on the turn, depending on what he does, you know. So we decide to call, and it comes jack. So it doesn't come four-liner. It doesn't really even change anything. 10-8 is like still done that. So basically nothing's changed. He doesn't really have jack 9 in this line unless he's really spewy. So it's not impossible. Yeah, and he checks, and I'm not quite sure what this is. It just feels like he has something like 9-8, 8 this solid hand. Maybe like a random 8 bluff, I don't know. Maybe a jack 8. So I want to pick a hefty bet here. Like, I think in hindsight, looking at this, I think if I could have calculated the pot a little bit, I think I would have just gone 400. But I just went 300. Luckily for me, he just puts it in for me. This is wrong. He basically put me all in here. This graphic's a lot wrong. We're basically all in for like the rest of my stack. But yeah, he went all in and he ran out of this. He flicked over his 9-7 suited before I had a chance to tail my sixes. He was very confident. He had the best hand. Yeah, we're just not going to fold in these situations. Like, I've done this a couple of times. I've played live, played these spots, and just seen like players I thought were quite tight, just like shovel in 250 big blinds deep, just on the flop of the turn. I'm just like, wow, this guy just, and I have bottom set or something. Oh, like I say, wow, this guy just has it. It's crazy. And I made a hero fold, and the guys that just turned up with like weak two pairs, and he's just like, why have they played a hand like that? They're just trying to, and what I don't realize is they just always put you on overpairs. They think that you're going to stack off with overpairs super deep, so they just like shove those hands in. But yeah, big start for us. Shout out to the $5 rake cap. And yeah, we're into it. We're off to a good start. And you can see I'm starting to open 6 big blinds, and we still get 3 calls. You got a kind of idea what kind of game we're in. I've noticed this player 6 guy. He does seem kind of active, is my note, and a lot of the other players are just sort of getting involved. And we flop Queen Jack 8. Yeah, it's multi-way. So my sort of system multi-way here is I generally like to see if I'm like my position to the fish. I don't mind simplifying into range check, but like my position to the fish is quite important to me. Now, as far as but here's a kicker: they're all fish. I don't know who the biggest fish is on the table. I'm suspecting it's player 6, but they're all fish, and it's just kind of like, what do you kind of do when they're all fish? I could sort of try and play my hand. I could sort of just range check and see what they do. I actually don't mind like a small bet here. Just trying to like clean up equity from like ace 5, pocket fours, but you're probably not going to get everyone to fold that often if you bet small here, multi on a board like this. And if they have really good hands, they're just going to raise, and then realizing your equity becomes really hard. So I prefer to just check and see what it brings. It just checks around. I will get the queen, and then play 3 checks. And one thing I do know about recreational players is, especially what I've learned about these live players, is they really love to stab top pair super often, and they'll flat things like queen 10 suited, queen 9 suited pretty often. If they're whales, they'll flat like queen deuce suited and stuff, but like, they're going to have a queen X, and a lot of them are very natural bets on the flop to recreationals. They don't think that as an undergun player, if you check, they don't think that you're capable of checking good hands. But they just sort of play their hands. They just bet So I feel like people just don't have that much Queen X here, especially when player 3 checks. So to me, I would use the term capped. I wouldn't 100% guarantee that people are capped, but it just seems like the green light is there for me to bluff and I have equity hand. I go 60. The reason I like 60 is just like it's just sort of like an in-between kind of size. I think is like you're gonna like get the job done with all of like the trash. It's just gonna fold the trash, and then when they actually just have a piece of the board, they're gonna call, and then you just on the river you just get to bluff basically, or you can hit your hand and value bet. And yeah, cool. And then so here's where the inexperienced live comes in. I talk about being an online pro, being inexperienced live comes in here. So I wanted to make this. So I'm thinking he most likely has a jack around like 8-9, maybe like a random ace-8, this sort of hand, but he most likely just has a jack. I think in hindsight, I really want to just go something like 400, 450, even 500 here to make him fold that hand. A jack, right? I'm not like super against like not bluffing big, but I just kind of like grabbed a few chips and like some of my chips, like a few of my big chips, like slipped out of my hands. I put them on, but because I was like quite newer to the live playing at the casino, I wouldn't say I'm new. I played plenty of times at the casino. I'm just not used to. I'm just getting back into the flow of it. A couple of my chips slip out my hand. I put the bet down. I don't announce any sizing or anything. Um, I put I put the bet down, and there's a paltry bet of 150. And with 150, I don't think this size really does anything. Maybe I make a hand fold, like maybe I make like ace-8 fold, or like 8-9-8, maybe, but like it's most likely just gonna fold him off of like king-9 or king-10 himself. So it just doesn't come out, and I sort of try to grab the chip. The chip that did fall out, as I put it over, and I tried to get the other chip that fell out and put it back in, and the dealer pushes it back. Which is, I obviously knew you couldn't do that, but like, I thought maybe I did it quick enough that it would have been allowed. But what I should have done was obviously announce the bet. I was actually trying to go 250, but pot is sort of like one of my go-to sizes when I feel like overbetting. But yeah, I think in hindsight, if I really want to make him roll the jack, I have to go really huge. I don't mind the risk of like not like bluffing too huge here, but yeah, he snapped me with ace jack. It would have taken a lot to make this hand fold, but it was most likely his most likely hand. So again, not very well played hand by me. I don't mind. Obviously, I don't mind the sort of sequence I played the hand in. I just died the river bet size in, just didn't go correct. We got some nerves, but we're over it. So we move on to ace-10. This hand isn't going to seem like... actually, this hand's actually somewhat interesting. So we raise to 50. Yep, we're raising to the 10 big blinds. That's because player 6... No, sorry, no longer player 6. This guy is a whopper. He was player 6 in the last hand. He's a whopper. He's calling super wide. And we get jack 8-5. So he's not super deep. There's a couple of ways you can play this spot. Against this kind of player, I like to just pot super equity stuff like this and just make the pot massive. Or I go pot and then I shove the turn, basically. That's my plan. He might call the flop and then fold the turn, or he might just go all in himself, which I don't mind too much with my hand. So I do this. He raises small. Well, we're obviously all in on his SPR. If we were deeper, we would call. But yeah, we're just all in. It's the only way to realize he's all in. We miss. Hopefully, at one time, we lose to 10-9 and 7-6. So 6 one time, 9-7. Please, dealer. 9-7 of diamonds. Nope, King Jack. He wins. This guy is playing 90% of hands. But we learned something about him. So now we're in King 8. We get a fish limp. The whopper decides 25 is enough. This guy's a whale. I actually think bumping this up is okay. Because bringing the fish along, I kind of think the fish is probably going to continue quite a lot. But like when I say a fish, this guy is just drinking and having a good time. He is not paying attention to the game dynamic. So I think he just limp folds his hand. Yeah, he's just like, yeah, I got 7-4 suited. Oh, actually, I want to take a flop. But I do think, considering this wobble was playing quite wide, I do think free betting this for value isn't like out of the question in this spot. But yeah, we just take the single raise pot, check to the whopper. He bets 50. Now this is a big bet on the flop. Obviously we're calling, but I think this hand's not super interesting, exciting, but it gives me a lot of information about this player. So he bets 50 on the flop. We call 9, and then it goes check check. We're not going to donk because we just get more information from him checking. Yeah, and then I think okay, his range is going to in when he gives 50 checks on the 9. He's two things. He has like a good hand, like a good king. And he got scared of a 9. He has nothing. But sort of, I kind of said that he either has nothing or he has like a decent hand, and there's two like that kind of beats me. So I'm not. So the he could have like, I was thinking of like min betting against like ace high or something, or in trying to induce. But I thought I would just check and see if I could get the guy to just bluff a random hand. But he checked that very quickly and showed ace 10 offsuit. So the min bet would have obviously worked a lot better in this situation because he had like the ace high. Um, yeah, I didn't think he had like any like in between kind of hand that would call like a sort of like a 75% bet, 50% bet. Is just like either I'm gonna go really small or I'm just gonna check, and that was sort of my thought process. It's not a big hand, but this gives me loads of information which I will take into a future hand and use it to make a good call on the river. But we go into another hand. This is another big hand for us. Get a couple of limps. We decide to limp behind now. Why am I not raising, do you ask? Well, it's quite simple. I have ace-2 suited, and I have 0 fold equity behind me, so I have a couple of choices. I can raise to see if I can pick up. I can raise to sort of like see if I can knock these players out, but then I'm in like a pretty huge big pot, and like this whopper's going to overcall like ace-3 offsuit, ace-4 offsuit, ace-5 offsuit, or I can just limp and then just hope that the squeeze size, if there is one, is insignificant. Also, the players behind were not super aggressive, which is also leans into my decision to limp. The Whopper decides we're going to go 35. It is no, this is kind of dumb, but like when you have a guy playing like never folding, it's just like I just think like you just have to take this spot and hope you flop something good. So we took it out. Oh my god, we flopped something good. And the older wreck here, who like cockles a small blind and then donks, the Whopper decides to call. We get a third call, and in a situation like this, um, I think the best play here is to raise and put the older wreck all in. Now you see he has $600 in front of him. I actually only saw about $300 behind in chips on him, and I was like, oh, okay, so let's just raise to a size where he's basically all in and see what happens. So he raised to 250. This guy's basically all in, is how I was thinking. 250, 300 doesn't matter. We want to like say that we have a super strong hand. This guy can have a 10, he can have a draw, he could have a super strong hand. Is most likely he just has like a 10, pocket sevens, 5, or just like a random draw. We'll just run it against him basically, and we'll get everyone else out of the pot. This guy calls, and I'm like, wait, he didn't go all in. What's going on? Everyone else folds, and then I look, and he moves his hand. And I just sort of peek over and have a little look. I look around his stack of reds and I see he's got blacks on the other side of me. So he's got 300 that I did not see at all. It's like, oh, he's got more money behind us. I'm like, oh, this is weird. So then it gets to an offsuit 9 and it's like he checks me and I'm like, okay, I could either just shove here and but I don't think he folds a single hand here that he would call the flop raise with. Other than like some club draw I'm ahead of. So I think I just have like no fold equity, in my opinion, or very little fold equity. So I just decided to take my free card instead. My plan on the river is like I'm not really sure what the plan on the river is. I'm just gonna try and see. I'm not really gonna try and make him fold anything on the river. Basically, maybe if a king comes, I could try and rip a king or something random. But yeah, but you know we hit the money card, and this is how I was running this session. And then he just bets 150. I don't know what this is. I'm obviously all in. He tanks actually. This is like kind of crazy. Again, another tank, and then he calls and he turns over a flush. No, I turn over my hand because I have the nuts, and he says he had a flush, and I'm just thinking, why are these guys tanking? I mean, obviously I have the nuts here, or only have a flush here, but like, it's kind of crazy to me, like people just play their hands like this. But yeah, another good hand for me. We pick up more money. Basically, we go 5 ways to a flop. We with a playable hand, and we flop a combo draw, and then we make the nuts on the river. That's how you play poker in these games. Okay, ace king. So ace jack off guy. This is the guy from the hand where he called with ace jack off. He calls. I'm obviously going to make it 40. I know the whopper's behind me, so I think I need to go 50 here. This is a mistake by me to go small, or even just bigger to 60. I have a very nice hand. We get overcalled by player 3. Why not? And the whopper. Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Ace 5-4. This is a mistake, pre-flop size. I should have learned my lesson. You see how I was making the sizes bigger and then I just went smaller. A couple of hours have passed. I can't make it 50 every time, you know. I don't always get ace king offsuit. Sometimes I just get trash. Yeah, it checks to me. I have an option to bet or check. Obviously, it's a spot where I could be against the nuts from the whopper, but it's like, as I said, my strategy in position is I kind of need to sort of think about am I targeting the player? What position are they in? If I'm not targeting the player, sort of what is my hand sort of value? What's it worth? I mean, all of those things are sort of make it together. Obviously, any of these players could have a super strong hand, but we really need to get value from the whopper. The whopper's going to have deuces, threes, king three suited, you know, flush draws, tons of flush draws, tons of ace-x, you know, random 5x, random 4x, probably random hands like pocket tens with a heart. So we're just going to bet. We're going to use a smaller size, and we don't want to kind of isolate ourselves too much. We're targeting the whopper mainly. But he folds and says he's got ace jack off by calls. And we get the hard turn. I think there's merit here in betting the turn when he doesn't check raise the flop. Obviously he can have flushes, but I just think there's hands like ace x. Like he probably even has things as strong as like the ace queen here. But like they're just ace x hands with a heart. Maybe he's playing like all of the offsuit hands with a heart because he is a recreational player. But I just generally there's a lot of ace x here, and maybe there's like threes of a heart, twos of a heart, just these sort of hands. And then yeah, a lot of his offsuit hands will have the ace of hearts in as well. So I just think there's a good argument here for value betting. I just think like we could go for like a pretty reasonable size here for value, like. I mean, I wouldn't mind if I bet 100. I don't mind betting 200. But I just decided to check. I think you can also make more money. I think you can make money by checking here as well. Because if they check back the river or they block, they kind of mostly just have an ace. A weak ace depends on the river. But this one comes out. Three liners, so ace deuces now straight. There could be random 5 deuces. You know, 3x of hearts type hands. Well, surely lose to anyway. But yeah, there's a straight here. So he checks. When he checks, I put his range on mostly ace-x. So we have a crystal clear value bet here. And quite really, we just want to target an ace. Now, in hindsight, looking back at this a few weeks later, obviously I should be going bigger than the size I picked. 250. You know, something like that will probably just always call me. Especially if it's a heart. Could even go 300 if I feel frisky. But we just want a chunky value bet. Because I bluffed this guy and bet 150, I felt inclined to bet the same size. And this is like this kind of like online balance ego part of me that has to be eradicated. The best size in here is definitely just. I could have squeezed out an extra $100. He snapped me off and showed A7 offsuit. But well, he like when I showed um he mucked, but I saw his hand because he was right next to me on the table. He's like about to flip it over. Yeah, more value to be had from that hand. You can see like missing the value here is like probably my biggest weakness in these games. Navigating their ranges and the spots is like reasonable, but like I'm missing the value in certain spots. I mean, I say that as I've stacked like multiple people, but like in these kind of pots, I'm missing the value. So yeah, moving on. We have 6-5. We raise check offside limp. We have a straddle. Hopefully that's accounted for. We raise to 60. Now the straddle dessert looks like only a 6 big blind raise. 100 big blinds deep, and the whopper we have like low fold equity. But like in these games, like fish only really see sizes, not like big blinds. They think like that. So $60 is a big raise to them. It doesn't matter if we're playing 2-5 or 5-10. They think, oh, 60 is a big raise. So they're way more likely to fold. Not the whopper, of course, but the rest of the guys. Perfect heads up in position versus a Whopperoony Spiroonie. This is a beautiful plate spot to be in. Yeah, so in this spot, I said I was going to play Polarized on the flop. So what do? I play Polarized. So I'm checking my Garbo, and we turn a straight draw, and he bets out for 50. We haven't, obviously we saw him c-bet a large size, so when he uses 50 it's quite interesting too. I had seen him do this a few times with like mergy hands, so I think we can like start to pressure like random trash to fold, and also just like weak pairs, maybe by the river. We can light it up and like, so I go for like the raise, and I'm looking to shut the river. In hindsight, I'd have rather raised a little bit smaller. Um, he calls, and then we just get the 5 and we get the showdown value, and he just donks for 300. It's like, I was going to check and try to beat something um, like King Jack or, this sort of hand that fishes turn up with. These sort of hands like exist. But he just donks, and it's just like, I thought about it. I just thought, he just I would just have to be giving him credit to just like randomly donk bluff King Jack, and also he could just randomly have just like a random 5. I can't think of like too many 5s he would actually have thinking about it. Like 7-5, I guess. But yeah, for the most part, I just think like I guess I just make the reluctant fold. He just turned tables Queen 5 suited, so this player is extremely loose, extremely stationary. And he's donking when he hits the river on like not changing boards, which is because he makes 2 pair. I'm thinking maybe my bluff raising line is not the best to play versus this guy. So yeah, we move on to 5s. This is the whopper. We go 60 again. Seems to be a good size to get people out of the pot. Not the whopper, of course, but we don't mind it. King 6-3. Check, check. Again, we're playing polarized. We don't want to range bet this guy. And then this time he leads out big. We obviously have a straight draw, so it's mandatory call. But remember, the last hand he led out for 50, and in this hand he's leading out big. I know it's double flush draw, but the other one was like connected too. And he had top pair in that one, and he went small. So, I mean, we have a mandatory call anyway, but this is making me think, what does this size mean? Because when he goes small, he has top pair. And then he bets this size. He doesn't like put in a chunky bet, he just bets just over half pot. I stop there and I think about it, and I think about the turn size and I say, well, if his small size is top pair, what is the big size? And then also on the river he donked half as well. What is the big size into like this sort of half potish sizing? What does that mean? Is it just trash, or is it like mergy with a 6 or something random? Which is what made me think about folding. I would have snap called anything better than a 6 at this point, 6 or better. So yeah, I thought about it and I just said, you know, for 26% and the fact that he's used a different size with top pair, I'm just going to call and see if it's this size is a bluffing size. On the turn, he tables to. I show him the fives, get some wows from the old nitty recreational players who would never like hear a called anything better than top pair in their life, and they show over the ace three offsuit. Um, yeah, and that's our answer, isn't it? It's like he just has a random merge with a three. Not sure what he's doing. We take it though, and we're moving to another one. A tilted fish raises 3x. You see he's on 500. He didn't start on 500. He's just lost a reasonably sized pot. Not too long ago, he raises 3x. He looks visibly pissed off. We get cold called. Um, Just called. Obviously, I make it 75%, and then a recreational player who just looks like your classic face up recreational player called 4 bets. And so I just want to say this is my most controversial hand. I just folded. Now, I think in hindsight, this is a mistake because playing in position versus a cold 4 bet against Mr. Face Up is not, and it's not a really large size. It's not like he went $350. He just went 225. So we can play a pot. But I just thought about in the moment. I thought a cold 4 bet by what seems to be a face up recreational um, from the small blind, who I would think would typically just overcall if they like their hand. Um, this is just an incredibly premium heavy range. However, if you think about it, if he has ace king, I could make him fold ace king. If he has queens or kings, you know, or aces, I'm going to kind of like sort of know what he has based on how he plays the flop and the turn. You see what I mean? And that's so like in hindsight, I think we just for 31%, we should just be calling here. However, in the game, I just thought I cannot foresee. There is a complete whopper on the table. Over here. There's a tilted fish. You know, everyone else is just like really weak. Why would I sit here and play this pot versus this guy, where if the board comes ace or king high, um, you know, and he triples into me, I'm just like whatever kind of spot, you know. So I said no, forget this. I'm just folding and moving on to the whopper. I didn't even think twice about it. I just folded, and within 30 seconds, I wasn't even thinking about that hand anymore. Um, but I just wanted to show that because I want to show to the lengths that I will take to make hero folds pre-flop versus players I just don't think 4-bet bluff. I'm just getting out of the way of this like blah 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 like low EV spot in my opinion. It's definitely a profitable call in position here, even if he's got like a super premium range. Except if it's like only aces, you know, or kings kind of thing. But like beyond that, profitable call. I just say turn that down. No thanks. I've got this whopper here. Take me to the next hand. And yeah, don't try this at home. Basically, to get Queen 9 suited, we're actually under the gun. We have a whopper on the button, Mr. Face Up on our left, and we have a guy who I've played with before, who I would describe as a try and wreck. He seems like this guy is like not going to spew it off, but he's also like played some hands versus me where I've tried to like throw in some like overbet bluffs to exploit his cat range, and he's hero called me down. So my sort of thinking about this guy is like before the hand's like, okay, if I get into a spot with this guy and I have to check the flop, but I have top pair, I'm going to overbet the river for value. But beyond that, we have the whopper and stuff, and because we have the whopper in the pot, we have basically no fold equity. And what do we do with a hand like Queen 9 suited under the gun? We have no fold equity. This hand makes most of his EV just from stealing. So, but I want to play the hand. So yeah, we're limping. We're limping. We're also on a very passive table. We're limp calling the whopper. He doesn't go this time. The try and wreck comes in and big blind checks. And we flop the second nuts. And the train wreck leads to 15. Yeah, here I don't think there's any reason to raise. I just think with the Whopper behind us, we just want to call. I think I wouldn't mind raising this, for value without a Whopper, but like the situation, I just think we always want to call. And the Whopper decides, you know what, I'll do the raising for you. The Triwreck tank fault, and here's where I make the biggest mistake of the session by far, is I don't re-raise, I just call. Actually, that's the second biggest mistake of the second. The biggest mistake is coming on the turn. And so I check to him. This is okay. I check to him. He bets again. Big bet. Now we already saw that, I should just be raising here. Either go all in or just like raise to like 700 or something random, 600. See what it brings. Judging by his stack depth and size of pot, Shovin is the best play here. By a mile, Shovin is the best play here. A country mile. But in the game, I just thought, what is this pot raised huge pot size? This is just bullshit. I think he's bluffing. Kind of like, I'm just going to let him pile off. Because I've seen this like pot thing. Oh yeah, the paired river comes and says, if he has a set. He could have done this with a set. I thought, oh, okay, well, if he shoves, it's going to be uncomfortable. But I can't fold, obviously. I beat value. And he just checks back and he shows king 5 offsuit. And I'm just like, Henry, what have you done? What have you done, Henry? You should have stacked this guy. You should have just gone all in on the flop. He would have called you. He's a whopper. What have you done? I've missed out on, like, you've seen me play this hand. Yeah, I missed out. I think this is the last sort of interesting hand. So yeah, what have I done? Yeah. So overall, the session was really good. I won. Like, I'm just gonna get the exact numbers up on the screen on how much I won. But it was a great session. But like, I honestly left like probably a grand on the table, which is a sick part. And that's the kind of thing that like annoys me about like how I played. I don't even think I played like anywhere near my best poker. I just ran really well. But like these are the results. We are 3.4k up in 2 sessions. That's an hourly of 460. Obviously sustainable. So yeah, that's the end of the first episode of the series. Live to online. A great start. What can I say? If you're on a table with 2 absolute whoppers, you're going to be, and you run well, you're going to make a lot of money. That's all I can say. But don't worry for those of you who are like, this guy sun runs. The next episode is a accumulation of my next week or 2 of grinding. And oh boy, do things change. And I've got to start grinding it out. So yeah, stick around for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.